323 may have just put the biggest capstone possible on 2025 in the UFC. It may have been just the biggest card, most entertaining card of the year. And to put a stamp on it, Petr Yan steals the show in the main event and defeats Merab Dvalishvili to reclaim his bantamweight title. It was a masterclass of a performance, brutal, amazing, technical, violent fight in the main event. And Petr Yan is on top of the world. He solved the puzzle of Petr Yan. He proved everyone wrong. He proved that he was hurt in the first fight and that he has every skill possible to beat the best bantamweight of all time. And if Petr Yan can keep this up, he may end up being the bantamweight GOAT. He already has an amazing resume. Just went out there and beat Merab. He is probably favored against every other bantamweight on the planet. Petr Yan, one of my most favorite fighters, is the UFC 135-pound champion. There were so many other crazy, exciting moments, banger on banger of fights, hardly anything not entertaining on the card. It was a great night of fights. It was an awesome UFC 323 pay-per-view. In today's video, I will be starting from the main event all the way to the bottom of the card. I will be giving my reaction and breakdown of each fight. And we're going to start off with this performance that Petr Yan put on against Merab Dvalishvili. I want to preface before I start talking about this fight. Merab is one tough guy. He absolutely ate shots that I don't think many other bantamweights can eat. Petr Yan has a thud on his punches and kicks that are very brutal for these smaller guys in 135. And Merab took every shot and just ate it and ate it. I mean, he was visibly hurt a couple times, but not once did he get dropped. Not once did he fall down and quiver and ball up. He kept pushing the pace and he kept fighting. And in my opinion, Merab still deserves that title of Fighter of the Year. Defended his belts 3 times, fought in an amazing 4th fight, even though the fight wasn't that close, and I'll be talking about that in just a second. But the dude is an animal. He is super tough. The best bantamweight at the moment. The best bantamweight of all time at the moment. Yan has the chance to take that title and run with it. But Merab, he's a GOAT on 135, and he most definitely deserves to run it back immediately if that's what the UFC decides to do and if he's ready to do it. And there's no doubt that Petr Yan will take that fight. But I just want to give credit where credit is due. Merab is an insane, amazing fighter. One of the craziest gas tanks in cardio pace and toughness we have ever seen in the UFC. The guy deserves all the praise. However, he was not the better man Saturday night. Petr Yan was, and he displayed his aptitude of MMA skills. And he, in my opinion, may be skill-wise, one of the best MMA fighters we have ever seen. He took Merab down 2 or 3 times, picked him up, dumped him on his head. He has beautiful grappling and may be one of the best strikers we have ever seen step in the cage. We already knew that. It was just the fact of putting it all together, being healthy, and going out there and looking even better than he has in his past 3 wins against Figueiredo, McGee, and Song Yadong. He got up for this fight. He put everything he possibly could into this fight, was in the best shape of his career, and absolutely put on a masterclass. And it was so beautiful to watch. I was so happy for Yan. He is one of my favorite fighters of all time. I've loved him since his debut. I remember him demolishing Uriah Faber. I remember talking to people when him and Jose Aldo fought on Fight Island on that co-main event of Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal. I know a lot of casuals. I don't know any people that are like me in this sport, but everyone's, Jose's going to destroy this Russian. Who is this guy? Nobody knew who Yan was. I mean, Jose was coming off a loss, to be fair, but nevertheless, Petr Yan, I remember just being like, this guy is so good, and he is the best bantamweight on the planet. And after all the bad luck, the illegal knee to Aljo, the close split decision loss to Aljo, the close fight to Sean that I'm not going to call a robbery, but he did win that fight, man. I thought he won that fight somewhat clearly. It was close, though, to be fair. The 3-fight losing skid, the disqualification, and then went on to beat Song Yadong, Figueiredo, Marcus McGee, and honestly kind of looked out of his prime in those 3 fights. Those guys gave him some problems. However, he came out in this fight, put Merab on the back foot, established a beautiful, beautiful jab, and kept up with Merab's pace, and ended up in the last and final round being the more energized guy in the octagon. It was an amazing performance, and I want to start off in the first round. The closest round in the fight, by far. The only one that you could possibly give to Merab, in my opinion. I think it's pretty clear. Round 2 was somewhat close, but Yan out-damaged Merab in every round except maybe round 1. And that's just because of the first few little exchanges of Petr Yan dialing in and grabbing that range. But I still think this is an easy 50-45 Petr Yan. I can understand a 49-45. Give him Merab that first round. However, 2 through 5, Petr Yan obviously out-damaged Merab Dvalishvili. And before we get into the rest of this fight, the commentary on this fight with especially Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier was so obviously biased and pitiful and despicable to listen to. I enjoy the 2 guys because they're goofballs, but I also can't stand the 2 guys on commentary because they're obviously biased in half their fights and don't know how to score MMA fights whatsoever. Like, I think going into the 3rd round, DC was talking about, man, I don't understand these scorecards at all, man. 3-0 Yan, what? And at the end of the fight, when Petr Yan obviously won 4-1, worst case scenario, probably 5-0 is what it should have been. And that 48-47 by Derek Clearly, that scorecard was absolutely pitiful. Again, round 1 was the only close one. Petr Yan absolutely worked Merab on the feet. Merab did no damage whatsoever in the grappling department. He landed a few strikes on the feet. He did. He landed a few good strikes on the feet, and that was in each round except 3, 4, and 5, which was what was so impressive to me. Going to the end of that 3rd round, yes, 3rd round, Petr Yan looked a little bit like he was slowing down, and I was getting really nervous. However, he dug that body kick into the liver in that 3rd round, caught a second wind on that stool going into the 4th, and absolutely dominated the 4th and the 5th round. It was insane, man. Like I said, round 1 was the only close one. Wobbled Merab and did visible damage on his face, especially establishing that lead jab. And the only time anyone really lands on Petr Yan, and when Merab landed clean on him, is when he is covering that one eye and sticking that lead hand out, and they land a shot over the top. But half the time, Petr rolls over with it, and it glances and hits him. And they're good shots, don't get me wrong. I'm not making excuses for Yan. But that's the only time the guy got really hit in the fight, bar none, a couple of exchanges coming out of clinch scenarios where Merab landed a few good shots in the clinch up close area. Bar those strikes though, and the numbers are crazy. I don't even want to talk about that. It's so retarded. Look at the numbers. Somehow Merab outstruck Petr Yan. Give me a freaking break. But in that first round, when I watched Petr Yan get pushed against the cage, start to elbow the forearms of Merab, fighting the hands and breaking the grip consistently, I had such a good feeling. And watching the fight, and I've rewatched it, Petr Yan won all 5 rounds in that first round. Round 1 was close, though, to be fair. But coming out of that first, I was like, my goodness. And the way that he was able to find shots invisibly and clearly damage and hurt Merab is what separated this by far. Not once did Merab hurt Yan whatsoever. I believe. And another thing, Merab after the fight was talking about, I tried to give a fun performance, I did not want to wrestle, I'm sorry, I come back with better gameplay. The dude shot, I think, around 30 takedowns. Petr Yan, I think, stuffed all but 2. That is, and again, I don't hate Merab whatsoever, he's fun. Not all his fights are fun, but he's a fun guy in the UFC manosphere. But Petr Yan beat you. fair and square. You did everything you could to drag him to the ground, knee his thigh against the cage, and he fought your hands. He broke the grip almost every single time. You were not able to control him. And when, out of those grappling scenarios, Petr Yan dialed into the jab, landed great combinations, boxing combinations in the first 2 rounds, started working the inside low kick as the fight went on in those first 2, and then the 3rd, 4th, and 5th started. I mean, when they were in that up close scenario, and Petr Yan, this was so beautiful to see. A lot of the times when Merab shot for doubles, went straight in on the hips, how Petr timed every time to get his head in line with him and frame off that and push him off of him was beautiful. And I believe it was the 4th round, did exactly that, came up with a lead uppercut, I believe. No, it wasn't a lead uppercut, but he came up with the uppercut and then stepped in with that liver punch. And, oh my, it was so beautiful. If you don't like Petr Yan, you're crazy. He is one of the most exciting, entertaining fighters of our entire lifetime. And this may have been one of the best, if not the best, title fight performances in UFC history. I mean, there are some that come close. There are some crazy comeback wins. There are some crazy upset wins. But Petr Yan, coming off that skid he went through, getting dominated by Merab, a part of that skid, working his way back to the title shot, and absolutely schooling Merab Dvalishvili was amazing. Again, all props to Dvalishvili. He fought a decent fight here and there, had a few moments, but it was an obvious Petr Yan win. And Joe Rogan, I think Yan did it, guys. I don't know, but I think he may have done it. That's crazy! He obviously won! Nonetheless, so it was just an amazing performance. Picks up Merab, dumps him on his head, landed 2 or 3 takedowns of his own, which were beautiful, quick shots. And, man, I have never, it's been a long time, I feel like, since we've witnessed a guy come back from losing a belt. I don't think we've really seen, nothing off the top of my head. That's maybe a whole video itself, but I don't think we've seen a fight like a guy come back like this and reclaim his belt against the GOAT of the division in the whole history of the bantamweight division. Merab is the GOAT of the division. Petr Yan, and comes out and absolutely does exactly what he wants and what he needs to do to beat him. It was absolutely phenomenal, and I can't get over it. It made me so happy. It wasn't necessarily a hate watch. It was a love watch of Petr Yan. I've loved this guy since he debuted in the UFC. I love his style. I love how so well-rounded he is. He's just so entertaining. The only bad thing Yan did was a couple of times he probably shouldn't have shot for takedowns. But besides that, Yan fought beautifully, and Merab, there are for sure some, don't count him out in a rematch in this fight, but if those guys aren't going to the body against Merab in future matchups, they're dumb. Because that obviously played a huge factor in this fight, even though Petr Yan was busting up his face and probably could have won the fight without attacking the body like he did. But in that 3rd round, when he landed that liver kick, and Merab goes, "Oh!" I just thought, oh my goodness, someone finally did what I've been screaming about. Attacked the body on Merab, visibly hurt him, visibly gassed him, and I just can't get over how much of an amazing fight this was, how dominant Yan was in this fight, how entertaining it was. Again, all props to Merab for sticking in through this fight, never wilting once, and just kept coming forward with his pace and cardio. But Yan, at the end of this fight, it was so, he took him down at the end, was busting him up before that. I could make a whole video talking about this fight. It was just such an amazing performance. I'm so happy for Yan, and was just an amazing main event and way to cap off a insanely exciting UFC pay-per-view to end the year, to end the ESPN era, possibly the last pay-per-view ever. What a performance by Yan. I think they probably will run this back immediately. Maybe they'll go with Umar after he beats Diverson, most likely. You could build O'Malley back if Jan's still the champ. To be fair, he has a win over him. And out of all the matchups, especially if O'Malley can evolve somewhat, that may be the closest matchup just with O'Malley's sniping ability on the feet and the run that he had. I mean, I thought Jan won that fight, and it was a bit of a robbery, but O'Malley worked him in a lot of those exchanges. However, I don't see anybody beating Jan for a couple years. I think he beats Umar. He's already beat Sandhagen. In any of these up-and-comers, I think he beats him with ease. He's a better grappler than I think everybody in the division, except skill-wise, I think he is a better grappler than Merab. That's what I should have picked Jan. I had a feeling all week after I made my picks video. But nevertheless, skill-wise, he's one of the most talented grapplers on the entire roster in the bantamweight division. The only reason you give Merab the advantage is just because of the pace and cardio and ability to push in the fight to just constantly shoot on the hips. But like takedown-wise, scrambling-wise, and just grappling skill and getting control of these guys, he's honestly not the best. It's just the cardio and pace that wears him down. Umar's a phenomenal grappler. I think Jan's right there with him. But besides that, who's a better grappler than Jan? And nobody is a better striker skill-wise than Petr Yan. It's going to take an insane performance by Merab or Umar to defeat Petr Yan. And honestly, going forward, I will not be picking against Petr Yan. I've always thought he is the most technically sound and skilled guy in the 135-pound division. And after defeating Merab like this, 49 to 46 worst case scenario, I just don't see anybody that beats him. It was amazing. I would love for them to run this back. Or I'm ready to watch Petr Yan fight again. And he didn't take much damage at all. In the way he was able to consistently back up Merab. And I liked how starting out in the fight, Yan let Merab go. Merab circles a lot, and Petr just kind of stayed at a slight angle on Merab and just let him circle the cage. And I thought that was phenomenal. And last thing I'm going to say about this fight, I've been talking about it for a while. We got other great fights to get to. But I thought it was so important for Yan to engage in those clinch and grappling positions and show Merab that he is not scared of him. And I think that worked to his advantage when Merab got to the hips. And then Petr Yan showed exceptional, amazing takedown defense and fighting of the hands, elbowing those forearms. I'm really interested to see if other guys implement that technique to really see if that was an effective strategy in this fight. I'm not for sure. That's the first time I'd ever seen it. But nonetheless, Petr Yan, 135-pound champion, once again, busted up Merab Dvalishvili, established a beautiful jab. MMA fighters, UFC fighters, establish a jab. Work on your jab. It is one of the most underrated weapons currently in the sport. It was just a phenomenal performance. The combinations Yan was able to put together, and as the fight went on, mixing up the kicks, worked the body, and then towards I believe it was round 4, where he landed a pretty flush head kick as well. It was such a phenomenal performance, and props to both guys, but I was just so freaking psyched for Petr Yan. And run it back, don't run it back, I don't care. Petr Yan is champion. I can't get over this performance. It made me so happy. Man, what a fight. And horrible commentary and insane coat by Merab. All respect to Merab, though. I'll never trash the guy. But Petr Yan was the better fighter, is the better fighter, when fully healthy. Watch back that first fight. It was obvious his arm was hurt. I believe a stoic Russian who barely talks in Yan when he says he has an injury. I don't believe a lot of guys in those when they make those excuses, but... And then Merab in the press conference, no excuses. And then immediately gets on the mic and has excuses. I had bad strategy. I tried to strike. You shot 30 takedowns. You did exactly what you do in every other fight. And you lost because you were the worst fighter. It's that simple. Not saying he can't come back and win, but I ain't going to pick him. Petr Yan. Love you, dude. That was amazing. Oh, moving on to the co-main event. What a disappointment. I'm not going to talk about this too long. Alexandre Pantoja dislocates his elbow. That's the word right now. I know they were saying shoulder, but everywhere else I hear whatever. I don't think he's supposed to be out that long, luckily, though. Joshua Van is the flyweight champion. And hopefully Alexandre is out for no longer than 4 months and they can run this back immediately. For the time it lasted, the 30 seconds, looked like it was going to be a pretty good fight. Both were coming out ready to go. And it was just such a sad, sad ending. I feel so bad for Pantoja. Losing like that, it shouldn't even be a loss. Posting on that hand after Van caught that head kick and just snapping his elbow. I mean, what else is there to say about it? Horrible way to lose. Horrible way to win as well. I know Van was celebrating after and stuff, and I kind of didn't like that. But you have to think, it's life-changing money for the guy. He still won the belt. I mean, it's hard not to be excited. But also in plenty of interviews, he was saying, man, that I didn't like winning that way. I'm ready to run it back. So hopefully this fight gets ran back as soon as possible. I hate how Pantoja was on this scale to possibly dethroning DJ as the GOAT. He's older. That's going to play a big factor in recovery and what his next performance could look like. But I'm really hoping Pantoja comes back as quick as he can with still being healthy, and hopefully Van doesn't have another fight in between it. But no matter what, Alexandre Pantoja, whoever is champ, no matter what happens, as soon as he's back and healthy, he is the fight. You have to fight him. Nobody will be the flyweight champion until they defeat Alexandre Pantoja. Okay? And that's about it. All I have to say about this fight. So sad. I hope this specific fight gets ran back as quick as possible. I hated Pantoja losing like that. It is what it is. It was a crazy freak accident. I've seen some people, Joshua Van, that's an insane Burmese fighting technique of or something like that about him breaking his arm on purpose. It was a fluke way to lose, fluke way to win. Sucks for both guys, especially Pantoja. Run it back ASAP. This was looking like an insane fight for the first 30 seconds or however long it lasted. But nonetheless, it sucks. That's all you can say about this fight. It sucks. I was super freaking hyped about this fight. So hyped about it. One of the first flyweight fights I've been super hyped about for the championship, at least, just because Pantoja has been so dominant. Was obvious he was going to dominate his other opponents besides when he won against Moreno. And I thought Royval gave him a decent fight for a little bit. But the other two, Erceg kept it competitive, even though I thought Pantoja was going to squash him. Pantoja squashes Asakura and Kai Kara-France, which I thought he would squash Van decently in this fight, but however, Van, he has pretty good power for the division. He's a fun fighter, very skilled young guy. This was hype. He's a semi-star right now. A lot of people like Joshua Van. This was Pantoja's moment to define himself and establish himself as a phenomenal, dominant, exciting champion in the UFC, and it sucks it ended like that. I'm so heartbroken for him, and I'm so ready for this fight to be ran back as soon as possible. I'm hoping it's no longer than a 5-month recovery for Pantoja. I do not want to see, even though Van and Tyra would be a good fight, and I would take Tyra in that fight, and I think it would be more competitive with Pantoja and Tyra. I want to see this fight. I want it ran back in the next 5 or 6 months. I hope they don't let Van get a defense in the meantime, because I don't think it's fair to Pantoja. If it's prolonged, though, I understand having to have the defense and whatnot with Van and Tyra, but I want to see this specific fight ran back. Hopefully it's just a dislocation, can heal up quick, PT, and we get this fight ran back ASAP. Moving on to the feature fight of the night. Started off very slow in the first round. Moreno hanging onto that triangle when Tyra went for the grappling exchange and takedown. But then in that second round, Moreno, Tyra, all round start on the feet. Moreno was landing a few good shots on Tyra. I thought he was up a little bit on strikes damage-wise. Landed a good overhand in a shot through the middle of Tyra. But Tyra's grappling and back technique, like the back-taking technique, is phenomenal. I've been really high on this guy. I think in my pick I got a little biased because I've really liked Brandon Moreno for a long time. And I thought Moreno fought a decent fight as long as it lasted, but even against Tyra in this situation, I think he needed to come out faster. Came out kind of slow. Weird first round. Honestly, I don't care who you score that to. It was so strange. It's just kind of one of those throwaway things where it sucks in a fight like this. But I'm glad it ended in a finish, even though that is a early stoppage. especially in a high, how do you put this? A high level, like championship title opportunity fight between one of the best flyweights of all time in Brandon Moreno and Tatsuro Taira. I thought they stopped that early. It probably was going to get finished there either way because Taira was landing some very damaging strikes while he had Brandon Moreno flattened out. However, especially seeing how Moreno came up from it, I didn't think he was out of it. He wasn't defending necessarily, but you at least got to let that go another 5 seconds, especially with a guy like Moreno who is highly skilled, a former champion, in a very high-level, high-stakes fight like this. You got to let that fight go longer. I'm not too mad about it, though, because I think it most likely would have got finished there. And with how Taira took his back, Moreno's back like that easily once he got it to the ground, probably would have ended up winning the fight anyways. But I do hate how early they stopped. Who was it? Mark Smith, I think. He had a bad night of reffing overall. Nonetheless, though, Taira is a killer. He is young. He's just getting better on the feet. His grappling is phenomenal. He looked a lot more composed on the feet, especially compared to his Brandon Royval performance. Looked a lot tighter in his striking, looked a lot more fluid, very fast and athletic guy, very strong in the grappling department. This kid, he's 4 years older than me. This dude is a killer, and he most definitely deserves the title shot next. No doubt about it. Good performance by Taira, but the early stoppage does suck, especially in a fight like this. Let it go five more seconds. Taira probably finishes that in that situation, and then there's no talk about this. That just kind of sucks. Nonetheless, though, it was a very impressive performance by Taira. And Brandon Moreno's a phenomenal grappler, and how easy, once he got it to the ground, how easy it was for Taira to get dominant position, take the back, lock in the body triangle, was very impressive, being able to hold Moreno down like that. So, all the props to Taira. I thought Moreno looked somewhat good. But in a fight like this, 3-round scenario against a guy like Taira, for a guy that once he gets control of you on the ground, you are most likely not getting out of it, Brandon Moreno needed to come out faster, do more damage on the feet. I hate it for Moreno, but Taira's a killer. I've been high on him for a long time. I made a video a few months ago saying he'll be champion by the end of 2026. Sometime in 2026, Taira will be champion. I think that may hold true. I think he gives Pantoja a run for his money, and especially with his grappling skill set. So, and he's just continuing to evolve on the feet. This dude's really good. Great performance by Taira. I think it was very important to get a finish in a fight like this, in a fight that, if you don't get a finish in, could have been very, very close. Razor sharp, or razor close. I thought it would be razor close, but good on Taira getting the TKO finish on the ground, taking Moreno's back. This dude's for real. He's really good. Moving on. Man, my picks were so bad this card. We're not even going to talk about it. Who did the propaganda of Henry Cejudo being a gold medal Olympian wrestler? Because I don't believe you anymore. I know, no, but no discredit to Cejudo. He's a legend. I've always liked Cejudo. I like the cringe, corny guys like that make people hate him because I end up liking him. I think it's hilarious. Henry Cejudo, who really probably should have fought at flyweight all of his career, should have never retired after that Dominic Cruz win. Tough guy. I mean, just gritty. Just gritted down on his mouthpiece in that fight and stayed in. But Peyton Talbot looked phenomenal. Very super clean on the feet. Even better on the feet than what we've seen him. The boxing and just how Henry was bobbing back and forth with his chin up in the air, looking up at Talbot. You made it way too easy for Talbot there to just pinpoint strikes. The guy's really powerful and rangy, and a lot of those combinations, catching Henry Cejudo at the end of the punch, busting up Cejudo's face, landed a beautiful takedown in round 1 on Cejudo. I really liked when he went, I love that. And I believe in the second round, landed a really good double leg as well. And Cejudo in the second round kind of was making me think he maybe could get back into this fight. Secured a takedown. Didn't do much damage with it, though. Peyton Talbot got up. Showed crazy leaps and bounds in his grappling defense and offense and grappling in general. But on the feet, Talbot was just way too much. In a few of those exchanges, Cejudo would catch him a couple times, especially in the second round. But then in the third round, Talbot just started teeing off on him, working the body, just using his reach and ranginess he landed some nasty uppercuts right in the middle of Henry Cejudo's abdomen and just kept on busting him up. It was a phenomenal performance by Talbot. He's probably going to be like 10th in the division now. He deserves it too, because Henry, even though he made some stupid decisions in that fight, he still fought very well, looked in really good shape. And in the grappling situations where Cejudo is supposed to be far and above levels above Peyton Talbot overall in the fight got the better of it. And even though I wasn't impressed with Talbot's performance against Lima, how good is Raoni Barcelos? Raoni recently beat him, just beat Ricky Simon. Give him a ranked matchup, for goodness sakes. That's crazy. Nonetheless, though, Talbot did make improvements phenomenally. And he's so rangy and powerful on the feet. I think he's going to give a lot of guys problems in the top 10 of the 135 division. He's still young, continues to improve in his game. I didn't think he would be a guy like that where he would put in the work to be better. Honestly, looked a little faster than he has. He seems like he's maybe matured a little bit in his physique and mentality. It was just a phenomenal performance. Also, as the fight went on, went to stomping that lead leg of Cejudo. I like those techniques with Talbot mixing up. At the end of the round, pointed to the middle of the octagon, and they really did scrap it out there for a little bit. Poor Cejudo, though. Talbot was just sniping him, man. It was a phenomenal performance by Talbot. Highly skilled guy on the feet. I like this for the division. I think it's really cool. Talbot's a super fun fighter to watch. So, Henry Cejudo's retired. A legend of the sport. Beat DJ in his prime, man. Was a two-division champion, even though he beat Moraes or whatever. Beat TJ Dillashaw, even though he's completely drained out. Beat Dominic Cruz, even though Dominic Cruz came back after a long layoff, probably out of his prime in that. But Cejudo, he's a top guy. You know, he's top 30 of all time, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly. I need to make a GOAT list video, but he really is. Went out on a shield, didn't let himself quiver or fumble or wilt. Didn't let himself get finished, stayed in the fight. All respect to Cejudo. Peyton Talbot, though, on the rise. Amazing, beautiful, technical performance by Peyton. Moving on to the main card opener, which ended in a draw, sadly. Let me get a swig of water here. Jan didn't look half bad in this fight. In the first round, it was a tit-for-tat battle. Jan won it kind of towards the end, stringing together a few better combinations, landing the overall better damage and better strikes, busting up that leg in the first. And then that second round, the speed advantage of Guskov is obvious the entire fight. It's just, Blachowicz being a crafty vet and all, is able to compete with young and up-and-comers like Guskov. Guskov, though, he is quick and athletic and powerful with his hands. He doesn't have, like, a tool bag, though. He doesn't throw many... It's really straight, powerful shots, man. And he doesn't throw a lot of differentiating techniques or anything like that. However, caught Blachowicz with a nasty straight shot, dropped him, and was able to dominate 4 minutes of that second round on the ground, busting up Blachowicz, landed nasty ground and pound, and they gave it a 10-8, which led to the majority draw. At the time watching it, I didn't score it a 10-8. However, I rewatched it today. That's a 10-8. I didn't realize it was that long that Guskov dominated Blachowicz, dropped him, and dominated him on the ground, and how significant that was. I thought at the time watching it live, because Blachowicz in the beginning of that second round was outstriking Guskov again. I just didn't realize it was that long Guskov had him on his back, just grinding and busting him up on his back. I didn't realize that, but looking back, that is... A draw was for sure the right call on this fight. It was for sure a 10-8. However, Blachowicz came out in that third round and won it. Had the better gas tank, kept chopping at that league leg of Guskov. He was visibly damaged. He was visibly more immobile. The speed advantage of Guskov was obvious in the third round as well. However, he was just not able to get off too many clean strikes in that third round. And at the end of the third round, Blachowicz was able to drop him with the legendary Polish power. But I'm glad at least Blachowicz didn't lose, because if anybody should have won the fight, it would be Blachowicz. But I thought a draw was the right call. I don't know if they'll run this one back necessarily. I would prefer to see like Blachowicz and maybe Ozdemir run it. Wouldn't be mad if they ran this back, though. It was a fun fight, no doubt about it. Blachowicz, tough, gritty, veteran of the sport, survived the onslaught in the second round and won that first and third round, gritted down. And that was super impressive in that third round, to just keep backing up Guskov majority of the fight, keep chopping at that leg, and, simple 2-3 strike combinations on the face of Guskov. Dropped him in the third round. I love Jan Blachowicz, man. That was impressive. Guskov, he is very athletically gifted. He just doesn't have the best skill set necessarily. So I'd probably pick Guskov in a rematch just because that speed and athletic advantage is just so noticeable. And I think, that second round would give Guskov a ton of confidence in a rematch and maybe would come out a little more fiery and knock out Jan in the first. But then again, Jan, man, he's super tough, gritty. He can still fight. He just has no power in his right arm anymore. He's had surgery on it. Isn't as powerful as he used to be. Doesn't throw those nasty body kicks anymore. And he should have implemented more grappling in this fight, in my opinion. But nonetheless, it was a great scrap. Glad it went to a draw. I think that was the right call, looking back at it. But wouldn't mind if they ran this one back at all. Another fun, entertaining fight on this main card, man. The main card was phenomenal besides the co-main event. And no complaints about this fight at all. Credit to Guskov for fighting in that second round and getting that 10-8 to at least get a draw. Because if he didn't get that 10-8, man, he loses that fight, If he would have let Jan get up and not bust him up on the ground. But all the credit to Jan, too, coming out in that third round, dropping him towards the end and being a tough, crafty vet. That's who Jan is. And that's who he'll continue to be, I think, until he gets knocked out at some point. But I just can't tell you when that'll be. The guy just keeps doing the dang thing. Moving on to the prelims. We'll keep these ones a little more short. I talked way too much. I'm out of breath. Oh, my goodness. Grant Dawson, glass chin. Look at the guy. He has way more top head than chin. Manuel Torres, rangy, powerful striker. Grant threw some weird, horrible strikes on the feet. Shot a pretty crappy single leg that Manuel was just able to shuck off. And as soon as Grant threw another wild overhand where as soon as he throws a strike or two, he just leans over to one side of the body. Manuel came over the top, made Grant cover there, and snuck in a little uppercut, little shot put, shot to the chin and flattens him. Not flattens him, but drops him to the ground and finishes him there. Great performance by Manuel, being calm and composed in there, not getting crazy early in that first round, being patient, which I thought was a very good sign for Manuel and his evolution in the sport. He hasn't been the most patient guy in his previous UFC fights. And beating a guy like Grant Dawson, who's a phenomenal grappler, not letting yourself get put on your back, finishing it early. I mean, if he was going to win this fight, that's exactly how he wins the fight. And I wish I picked Grant Dawson. Oh my gosh. He has a glass chin, man. He's a phenomenal grappler, and Grant, in the rest of your UFC fights, dude, you got to get it to the mat immediately, especially against dangerous strikers like Manuel Torres. Manuel Torres probably shooting in the top 15 of the lightweight division. Lost to Ignacio Baja Mendez at UFC Noche, and that's when he lost because he got wild and started over swinging, but he was very calm and composed in this fight, managed the range well, didn't let himself get put on his back. And as soon as he seen an opening for a knockout shot, he landed it on Grant Dawson. Phenomenal performance by Manuel Torres. Grant Dawson has a glass chin. Another pick. We're not talking about my picks, man. Moving on to, dude, this fight card was insane, man. I'm going to make a ranking the UFC fight cards of the 2025 year. This may be number one. There's so many crazy finishes, scraps, performances. Terrence McKinney comes out like a wild man, and I was nervous. As soon as I seen that happen, I was like, oh my goodness. Exactly what I was worried about happening was happening. I mean, Chris Duncan at the end of the fight was like, I was just thinking, get off me, get him off me, get off me, get away from me. I don't have a great Scottish accent, but Terrence McKinney landed a nasty knee up the middle, swinging like a wild man, cracking Chris Duncan on his chin. Chris went to his knee for a little bit, and Terrence McKinney just ends up over-punching himself. Chris Duncan lands a weird takedown. It comes back up on the feet. Terrence McKinney continues to be a marauder and march down Chris Duncan. And all it took was a freaking nasty elbow to the face of Terrence McKinney for Chris Duncan. He immediately folded and wilted. Immediately. And then as soon as on the ground, he was kind of landing some not super powerful ground and pound, but then ends up syncing up his neck to what I believe was an anaconda choke. And Chris Duncan, what a tough guy. What a competitor. Terrence McKinney, what a retard. I mean, what an idiot. Lowest fight IQ I've ever seen. You come out and immediately start busting up Chris Duncan. And in a few of those exchanges, Chris Duncan was landing some on the chin of McKinney that was making him back up. Dude, come back out to range for a second, establish a little bit of footwork, get your wits about you, and then start teeing off again. But he just kept coming forward. And it started off, he was somewhat slick in the combinations. But as soon as he smelt blood in the water, just overswung and just let all technique go out the window. And Chris Duncan was amazingly able to weather the storm, drop McKinney with a beautiful elbow up against the cage, a few little pitter-patter ground strikes, and sinks up a nasty anaconda choke. I mean, weathered an onslaught from McKinney. Chris Duncan is so tough, dude. You got to get him out in that first round. I worry about Duncan going up against more smart, not retarded lightweights, because I think a lot of guys will finish Chris Duncan in that situation. But McKinney lost that fight, honestly. But all the credit in the world for how tough Duncan is, man. He was noticeably had the athletic and speed disadvantage, but skill-wise, man, he trusted himself to be able to weather those shots and come back, grit down on the mouthpiece, and seen an opening, freaking landed a nasty elbow, and sink up a submission. Terrence McKinney, craziest one-round fighter you'll ever see. Chris Duncan, one of the toughest guys in the sport at this point. I mean, what a crazy 2.5-minute scrap from these two guys. Props to both of them. McKinney, though, man, somebody's got to tell you to quit being such an idiot. It's that simple. You should have won that fight. But Chris Duncan grits down on the mouthpiece, Scottish toughness, and gets the submission win. What a fight. What a gritty performance by Chris Duncan. Moving on to it wasn't a snooze fest of a WMMA fight, for sure. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even remember much from this fight. I remember Karine kind of winning that first round, getting some control time on the ground, landing a little bit more damage. Then I remember Macy Barber in the second round getting up kicked to the face, and when she noticed that she was grounded, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm stumbling. Hey, ref." Amazing act. I think she was acting a little bit. Good on her, though. That was smart. Take a point. Take a point. That's crazy. It's an illegal strike that visibly wobbled Macy Barber. I don't know if it really did. You got to take a point there. I'm glad she won, though. She deserved to win, especially in that situation. But immediately after that happens in the second round, Macy Barber gets it back onto the ground. She was very tenacious in those grappling exchanges, busting up Karine on the ground. And then in the third round, they were kind of tit for tat on the feet. Macy again gets the best of the grappling exchanges, able to land more ground shots to grit out I believe it is 29-28, and I believe that is the correct scorecard for this fight. Good on for Macy Barber, though. She's gritty, she's tough, tenacious woman. She's a tough cookie, as Lucas Tracy would say. He's back. She's a super tough gal, and I thought it was a good performance coming off her health scare issues. She's pretty good in the flyweight division. Not a boring fight whatsoever. Probably the most boring fight on the card, though, by far. But still, again, a good performance by Barber, getting it done in a close fight. Maybe she got wobbled in the second by an illegal strike. Maybe not. Maybe it was a little bit of an Oscar-winning performance. Nonetheless, though, good performance from Macy. She deserved the win, and she got the win, and she came back from that in the second round and gritted it out. I liked it. I liked it. I liked it. Macy Barber. Hit me up. Moving on to Fares Ziam and Nazim Zydakov. Fares Ziam is nasty, man. And I've seen a lot of improvements in his game, especially in that second round. First round, it was mainly Ziam getting control of Sidakov, landing a few pitter-patter shots on the ground. Sidakov really had nothing for him in the grappling department. Why he decided to enter the clinch first thing in that first round is beyond me. But Sidakov, I think it was the grappling of Ziam just kind of like mentally screwed Sidakov. He didn't use any of, like, I picked Sidakov. Okay, I picked him. But he didn't use any of his, like, explosivity, his quickness, and in and out footwork to try to put together combinations against Ziam. And Ziam, I'm pretty sure he's not black, I don't think. This is not, I'm going to say something that's going to sound bad, but I don't mean it bad. He's like a, he is built like a chimpanzee, like a monkey of some sort. And I mean this in a good way, because if you look at the guy, he's kind of thin. However, like, you look at his legs, his feet, and his hands, they're massive. And coming off the end of his long, rangy limbs, he's 6'1" for the lightweight division. That's big. Those thud, man. He was throwing some teeps to the middle, and you could tell Sidakov did not like that whatsoever. And especially in that second round, he used his range, and I thought he was much more fluid on his feet compared to his other fights. Stayed a lot more defensively responsible, even though he didn't really need to. But then again, got Sidakov up against the cage, grappled him for a little bit. Soon as it stands up towards the end of the round, lands a nasty elbow to the face. Beats up Sidakov on the ground. Honestly, thought it should have kind of been stopped a tad bit earlier, maybe. Not really, but I'm not mad at that stoppage at all. It says here they, like, stopped it before the round was over. I couldn't make heads or tails if Herzog stepped in before the round was over. But even if he didn't, like, I'm pretty sure there's a rule. Like, after the round, Sidakov, like, can't even stand up. Obviously out of it. I thought it was a fine stoppage. A dominant performance from Fares Ziam. Give him top 15 next. This guy's good. He's the real deal. I thought he was really good. I don't know why I picked. My picks were bad. We're not talking about it. Remember? Siam's the real deal, though. Very skilled. Pressure, very good grappler. Long limbs to secure, like, back takes and mount. And then on the feet, he keeps improving. Powerful, thudding shots. Uses his range well. Seems like he's only getting better. This guy's dangerous at 155, for sure. Phenomenal performance by Ziam. Moving on to the early prelims. Mamma mia. Mamma mia. Dude, Bruno Ferreira missed weight, so Marvin should have won this fight. I thought this fight was close. Well, Bruno should have won, probably. I thought it was close, though, man. I thought you could have given Vettori all of the rounds. You could have gave Bruno all of them, too. But I understand, Ferreira probably landed the more, like, bust your face up type of shots. Vettori, he used to mix stuff up, shoot level changes better, throw hooks. He did whip out a couple of uppercuts and a hook here and there towards the end of this fight. But he just throws 1-2s. That's all he does. And it's just so easy, especially for a power puncher in Ferreira, to see that and just wait for openings and land the better shots on him. And that's what Ferreira did. Good performance by Ferreira. I thought it was a close fight. Vettori towards the end of the third round, I was very angry. I really thought he could have pushed the pace. Ferreira was obviously getting tired. I think he could have got a finish in that last minute of that third round. Nonetheless, though, I'm so bummed for Vettori. Maybe going to get cut because I know they pay him a lot. I hope they don't cut him, though. He can still do a couple of good fights, I feel like, in the unranked middleweight area of the division. But good performance by Ferreira. He was able to land the more powerful strikes. He did. Vettori, though, like, he peppered him. He peppered him a good amount. He just doesn't mix it up enough to be able to open things up for him to do more damage. And Ferreira, he countered well. Landed some big strikes on Vettori. Vettori probably has the best chin in UFC history. Ferreira has crazy power. Lesser men would have got dropped to the canvas with some of those shots Ferreira threw at Vettori. But fight went to the right guy for sure, probably. And Ferreira gets it done. With the weight miss, though, I hate that. I hate when guys miss weight and win. Poor Vettori. I've loved Marvin, the Italian dream. Mamma mia, I lost. Moving on. Jalen Turner. He's back. Barboza honestly didn't look that bad early in this fight. Was landing at the beginning some pretty solid leg kicks. Jalen was returning them as well. Landed a couple of nasty overhands to the temple of Turner that they were solid. He looked fast. But Turner was just throwing everything super sharp and down the middle. And with how rangy he is, and like obviously has big hands, those are thudding shots. And in the beginning of the round, landed that nasty step in elbow and cut open Barboza. And as soon as that happened, Barboza was just kind of peppering, coming back and just couldn't get on the lead foot or lead leg again and, kind of come in with some combinations. And even after that, Barboza kind of did all right. But Jalen Turner was just landing nasty shots down the middle. He's very powerful and rangy. Dude, I'm glad they stopped it when they did. I hope Barboza retires. I honestly think he could beat some low-ranked lightweight guys for sure, especially in lightweight. He looked quick and powerful, but he's just been doing it so long. That eye is weird. I hate seeing that. That's horrible. I hope he retires. This is the first guy, though, in Jalen Turner who should have came out of retirement. Had an amazing performance, looked really sharp on the feet. Boxing looked great. And the few leg kicks he landed as well were they were nice, thuddy leg kicks, man. But was just so crisp, pretty defensively responsible as well for a couple of overhands, barring a couple of overhands by Barboza. But Turner, he just kept catching Edson on the end of every strike. Like, Edson would come in, and then he would catch him on the end of a 1-2, mixed a couple of uppercuts in there, hit a couple of nice body shots as well. It's just, you could kind of tell as soon as that fight started and they started throwing, Jalen's going to finish this guy. Because you could just see the power difference in how Barboza was reacting to the shots from Turner. But great performance from Turner. Probably give him like 2 or 3 unranked lightweights. I'd give him some pretty good lightweights. The dude's always had the skill set to be a top 15 guy in the lightweight division. So he looks there mentally. All praise Jesus Christ, dude, the savior of the world. I love that, Jalen. I love it, Jalen Turner. And I think this guy, if he stays mentally sharp, he has some grappling skills, but also kind of has looked weird on the ground. Looked a little weird on the ground in some of the exchange with Barboza as well. Tighten up that ground game. That boxing looks really crisp. He looked super focused and dialed in that fight. I think this guy could make a little bit of a run. I think he could be a problem. I've liked Jalen Turner. He's always had the skill set. And that build and ranginess for 155 is super, super sick. So, Jalen Turner, phenomenal comeback performance for him. Moving on down the card to an insane, a minute 30 scrap from Iwo Baranevsky and Ibo Aslan. I was so happy that Iwo got Ibo out of there. I don't know why, but I just don't like Ibo. I don't know why. I feel like he's like super cocky and not that good at all. I was so worried because Ibo at the beginning got the better of the little exchange, dropped Iwo to the ground on a knee, and then was starting to throw some pretty heavy hands on Baranevsky, but he just kind of kept weathering the storm, and then landed a few good strikes of his own. But Ibo was getting the better of that until Iwo just came over with that hook and dropped Ibo to the ground and was able to finish him. It was such a fun fight while it lasted. Crazy first round. Props to both guys for being tough and going out there and scrapping, dude. I thought Baranevsky was pretty good. I don't know, though, now, after getting dropped by Ibo that early and beaten in a scrap like that. But, dude, way to grit down on the mouthpiece again. Again, another gritty performance from Iwo. Crazy minute-and-a-half fight. Like, I don't even know how to talk about it because, like, they were just throwing, dude. I mean, hooks on hooks on hooks, dude. It was insane. It was super entertaining. I loved watching it. Iwo Baranevsky, though, gets the better of the minute 30 exchange, drops Ibo to the ground, finishes him there. Crazy fight. Crazy win for Iwo. It was pretty awesome, man. Moving on to Mansour Abdul Malik, which this fight was a squash. I said it in the build-up to the fight. Tricoli is not very good. And Mansour, man, he's just really athletic and powerful. Pretty quick for how big the guy is, too. I mean, he just bullied Tricoli. I don't think he's all that, though, skill-wise, though. If they try to push him a little too fast, I think some veterans and more skilled guys in the division beat him. Just like watching him blitz with the strikes, he was like overthrowing his front foot. However, he blitzes in with a spear practically, gets the fight to the ground, roll around for a little bit, gets standing up and cinches a standing guillotine. Dude's crazy strong and was obvious. I mean, he got the neck. Obvious it was going to end as soon as he got it there. He had a crazy grip on there, just cranked it. It was impressive for sure. Tricoli's bad, though. He should be cut. Don't know why he's on the roster, really, honestly. Mansour, though, he for sure has potential, but skill-wise, it's not all there still, in my opinion, especially on the feet. Looks really awkward, super athletic and explosive, but I didn't like what I seen there, but got it to the ground and friggin' dominated, so you can't complain about that at all. Good performance, bit of a squash, though. I seen it coming. I'm wishy-washy on Abdul Malik, though. I don't know how good he's got a lot of improvements to make. But, skill, pure, just skill and athleticism, and, he's a freak of nature, man. That can take you a long way, especially in middleweight. So, yeah. I'm interested to see who they match him up with next. I bet it's another squash if they do like what they're doing with the Teba Gautier. Moving on, final fight we'll talk about. Opened up the card. It was pretty dull. First 2 rounds, Myron just getting the better of on the feet. Was very calm and composed. Stayed patient. Found a nasty shot to end the fight in that 3rd round. Myron's good on the feet, man. I liked how he was able to finish this fight and just didn't, and early in the 3rd round, just didn't take it to the decision, just, tit for tatting and outpointing him. I'm glad he got a finish. Again, missed weight, though. I hate that. I thought Naimov would give him way more problems, especially in the grappling exchanges. He showed really good grappling defense, though, Myron did, and was able to put him out in the 3rd round with a nice shot. He's very skilled on the feet. Props on him getting the finish in the 3rd round like that. I think that's very important, especially for a prospect like that. Myron, who kind of has some hype around him, but he's very skilled on the feet. Pretty technical as well, somewhat creative too. A bit unorthodox the way he throws sometimes, but I thought it was impressive. Naimov has been a good 145er for a while now in the UFC. Gives a lot of guys problems. Beat Nathaniel Wood, who's a great fighter. He's a solid guy, man. I know he's at lightweight now, but good performance by Myron. Again, I think it is very important for prospects like that to get finishes when you're kind of just winning a point fight, if that makes sense. But that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I just can't get over Petr Yan's performance. It was incredible. It was amazing to watch. Super, super happy for Yan. He deserves it. I can't wait to see him fight again. Hope you liked this video, guys. Please like the video. I'm begging. Please like the video. Please. Comment what you thought about UFC 323, dude. That's like a 9 out of 10 card. Even if just Pantoja and Van just had a fight, that may be like a 10 out of 10, dude. It was insane. But nonetheless, guys, if you've watched it this far, all the way through, I love you. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, please subscribe. Please, see you all MMA, man. Please subscribe. But that's it for today, guys. Hope you all have a phenomenal Monday evening. God is good. God bless. Christ is King. See you in the next one.